It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Gina Trapani's back with Jeff Jarvis. We're going to talk about the EU. They're attacking Google. Oh, what's going to happen there? We'll also have a little bit of a discussion about over-the-top television and some of our favorite TV shows. And it's the return of the Google changelog. It's all next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for This Week in Google is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 296, recorded Wednesday, April 15th, 2015. Smells like a pivot. This Week in Google is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Are you hiring? With ZipRecruiter.com, you can post to 50-plus job sites, including social networks, all with a single click. Screen, rate, and hire the right candidates fast. Try ZipRecruiter with a free 4-day trial now at ZipRecruiter.com/twig. That's ZipRecruiter.com/twig. And by FreshBooks, the super simple cloud accounting and invoicing solution designed to help small business owners save time billing and get paid faster. Try it free at FreshBooks.com/twig. And by LegalZoom. If you're looking to incorporate, form an LLC or nonprofit, get a DBA or more, LegalZoom can help you get started the right way. LegalZoom is not a law firm, but can connect you with an independent attorney, too. Visit LegalZoom.com and use the offer code TWIG to receive $10 off at checkout. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show where we talk about the latest from Google. Jeff Jarvis is here from CUNY, the City University of New York, where he's a professor of journalism, blogger at buzzmachine.com. Author of so many great books. What Would Google Do? Public Parts. You don't have to hold them all up. Geek-sparing news. Gifts. I always want to say news, but it's gifts.
Same difference.
Same thing. At Gutenberg the Geek. Thank you for being here, Jeff. Every week. Love that. And you know who's back, and we're so happy to see her. From thinkup.com, it's Gina Trapani.
Great to be here.
Did you do All About
Hi.
Android last night, too?
I didn't. I haven't been on All About Android in a while, but Jason and I are
We're
scheming.
her
We've
favorite.
set up dates. Yes, that will happen soon.
Yeah.
I had this crazy bronchitis, walking pneumonia thing happen, and I was just laid up for a couple of weeks there.
No.
But I'm
You feeling
back
okay
and,
now?
Yeah, feeling way better. But yeah, it was 6 days in bed. I've never been
That's what winter does to you.
crazy.
Sucks.
So I didn't get on All About Android this month, but I'll be back.
Well, we're just thrilled to see you. Gina,
Yes.
of course, has given up show business for her startup, ThinkUp. You can see my ThinkUp. I'll log in as me, but you can see it if you just go to leolaporte.thinkup.com. And you can see what it does for you. It's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been having a lot of fun. I miss you guys, but we've been heads down building all kinds of few new things I'm really excited about. I can't talk about yet.
Does it scare you that Twitter is pulling the plug on the fire? You're not a Firehose consumer.
No, we're not. We're a per user. We're old school. We use the per user REST API, so we weren't affected by that.
I get it. So the whole point of this was these are companies that can you believe, by the way,
I knew you were going to say
I spent a lot of energy handcrafting tweets, making the best possible tweets. And then some weird API goes off. There's a site called Twitter Counter that's been around for ages. It's how we used to keep track of who was number one on Twitter back when it was me versus Kevin Rose. And I had set up like 3 weeks ago their email thing so I could email tweets. Never used it. And I think something weird happened because all of a sudden I tweeted, hi, comma. And I'm looking, my Twitter stream lights up. I'm going, what? 4 minutes ago I tweeted, hi, comma. No, I'm lying in bed. So, of course, I immediately went down the hall to Michael, to the kid, and said, Michael, were you on my computer? He said, no. I said, oh, okay. Well, I could never figure it out. Finally, I figured out that it was from Twitter Counter. They can't figure it out either, but it doesn't matter. Hi, comma. Was not only the big tweet of the week, the big tweet of the year, 250 replies, 456 favorites, 164 people retweeted, hi, comma.
That's incredible.
And we're all going to do it.
Your fans are thirsty for engagement, Leo.
Is that what it is? I'm just going to tweet non sequitur greetings every few days, and I'll be huge.
You know, it's so funny. I've had people say to me, I read your tweets and I don't know what you're talking about most of the time.
Maybe that's it.
And I think that just happens, you know, when you're passionate about a topic or when you're talking to folks you feel like, like the Twig audience, you know where I'm coming from. I think you can kind of just make assumptions. So I think when you say something like
that everybody can
hi,
understand.
People like it.
Well, there's a real insight there. Wow.
That's my theory.
And I love the insight that you wrote. Whatever Leo Laporte said must have been memorable. I'll never forget it.
I thought that comma was a bug on ThinkUp's part, but no, it was hi, comma.
It was hi, comma.
It was also really a cliffhanger of a tweet. Like,
maybe that's it. Maybe that's the key. Punctuation is central to the.
How many buys did you get?
I get a lot. The first thing I got was from Jeff Needles, who tweeted there.
Yes, see?
He completed it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like people's brains can't abide by those kinds of things just hanging there out in space. It's like unclosed parentheses.
But that's when you're really glad you have ThinkUp, because you can immediately, this is not stuff that you can easily see, but ThinkUp will surface this stuff. It's also really fun to go back in time and see, your big tweets from a year ago and 2 years ago. I love that. That's one of the reasons we subscribe to Time Hop, many of us. I use 33 exclamation marks, or 33 tweets with exclamation marks. I do like the exclamation mark a little too much.
Yeah, it's good. It's a love of life.
I wish you would do a ThinkUp for podcasts. And you could say, Leo said actually 27 times this week. Wouldn't that be useful?
Or soul destroying. I don't know. Somebody once did a mashup of every time I said
Yeah,
and I apologize to everyone who's ever listened to Twig because I do that. And it was just like, kill me now. Just let me crawl under my desk and never speak again.
We all have verbal crutches. Is not a good verbal crutch, but
no, it's not a good one.
But actually is bad. There's a lot of bad verbal crutches out there, and all of us have some. So
I think NPR just did a piece on no totally as a linguistic.
No, totally.
No, totally.
Totally.
Oh, totally.
You know what I hate, and I do it all the time? Yeah, no. Yeah, no. And it's like that. I just said two contradictory things in one sentence. Yeah, no. I say that a lot. Google Ventures. This makes me happy. Can thank me for 185,000 more people seeing their tweet.
You can include that in your pitch deck when you try to raise for Twit.
I know. I'm bigger than you.
Or not.
Or not. Did you guys watch Silicon Valley on Sunday?
I did.
I love that show. Wait a minute. What?
Yeah, he dropped. I've been working on it.
Jeff left it in protest. I love that show. So many
I love it too. I know people hate it.
It's a satire. It's hilarious. I think it's funny. Look, some jokes aren't, but it's interesting enough.
There's a little too many dick jokes. I understand that, and unfortunately Sunday was really full of them. But if you're in the scene, you recognize so many things. And I was just sure, and I was wrong, but I was just sure that there were like tons of venture capitalists, real ones, sprinkled through that episode on Sunday.
Definitely.
Because they're out. The story is that at the end of last season, they won TechCrunch Disrupt. And so Pied Piper, which is this fictional company that's created this new compression algorithm that's better than any. What is the stat? We got
Weissman. We got
5 on the Weissman scale, and nobody's ever done that. And there's a Google analog called Hooli. So the story this season begins with them going now out to get their A round of financing. And actually, you can't spoil it. Can I spoil a comedy?
You can spoil it. I thought it was a great commentary. So you don't have to spoil it. I'll spoil it. So the bigger jerks they were in each meeting, like the bigger jerks and like the most dismissive and condescending that they could be, the bigger offers they would get. And like I think this is why the show is so great. I mean, there's a commentary kind
Absolutely.
of on what sort of behavior gets rewarded in an industry. And it's so funny because, people say that show is so sexist. There are no women. How do you like the show? It's so sexist. It's a commentary. No, the industry's sexist. It's sexist because it's a commentary on the industry. And I will point out that one of the few women in the show is like the only competent,
the only nice, intelligent person in the show is that woman right there. Yeah.
Right. So it was great. I loved having been through a less intense and certainly smaller round of fundraising. I really enjoyed watching those meetings. It was a good episode. Listen, it's a half an hour on a Sunday night.
It's fun. I like Veep a little better, but that's okay because Veep you got to watch 3 times because the jokes are so fast.
Right.
But here's the thing that I thought was, and the real reason I'm bringing it up. Yes, they went and were able to get insane evaluations. Finally, the last valuation was that they get, what was it, $50 million and be for a valuation of $200 million. That was the top they got. And then somebody, the smart woman, said, you don't want to take that money. Mm-hmm. That's death. You need to negotiate down because if you take too much money, then there's too much pressure to turn it around. And you'll be out of business. You'll lose your company because you can't live up to that. You're not worth that. And I thought actually that was very astute. Have you experienced that, Jeff, ever? I mean, is that real? Yeah. Is that a thing?
Well, I love to tell the story that Nick Denton, when I was on the board of his last company, moreover, he raised a lot of money. It was in early 2000s. And when we hit the bust, I said, boy, Nick, the best thing we ever did was raise too much money. So we have a safety net. And he said, no, Jarvis, worst thing I ever did. Let the CEO, try things we shouldn't have tried. Too much money's bad. Very Nick thing to say, eh, Gina?
Yeah. He's extremely, yes. That is very Nick thing to say. He's very bearish on that kind of thing. No, I was just reading about, I think it's Get Satisfaction, Lane Becker's company. They just got sold, and he was one of the founders, and he didn't make a dime. It was a fire sale, his word. Oh. And when asked,
I love
what
Lane.
Went wrong, I love Lane too. He tweeted very frankly about what happened, but he basically said, there was a point in the lifetime of the company where we had acquisition offers, and then we had this, round of fundraising that we could do, and we took too much money. The company wasn't worth
So
that.
It's exact. Yeah. So this was prescient. Silicon Valley, of course, recorded before this, but this is prescient. This is exactly, wow. You know who's writing for them? I didn't know this. Dan Lyons. So maybe for Silicon Valley, the TV show.
Oh,
really?
I didn't realize that.
So maybe Nick told Dan and Dan told them. I don't know.
Interesting.
Well, it's not just Nick. It's it is wisdom. Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah. But that's the kind of reason I kind of like it, because it's actually there's some real reality in all of the comedy.
Yeah.
There's an insider knowledge that's going on there that's pretty accurate, and I think maybe some of that does come from Dan Lyons, who was the fake Steve Jobs and is a character and a half, and for 5 weeks or less was editor-in-chief of Valleywag, and then quit. And apparently, I didn't know this, but because I'd seen it somewhere else, but then I saw in the credits that he's a contributor. Wow, so Lane sold Get Satisfaction.
That's too bad. Lane is a really good guy. You're right.
I love Lane. He'd raised $50 million. Wait a minute.
This is a good.
He raised $50 million valuation. He had raised $21 million.
Preference will kill you every time.
He was pushed out of the company in 2010.
Well, it's even worse. Where it's one matter if you kind of do it to yourself, but then you're powerless.
Yeah, but boy, I hear that from a lot of entrepreneurs who've been pushed out of their companies. It's not at all unusual.
No, not at all. In fact, it's almost in the script.
Yeah. I had a prenup with Lisa says she can't push me out of the company.
I don't think you're not kidding about that, are you?
No, I am kidding, but I mean,
okay.
I did ask her. You're not going to push me out of the company now that you're married to me. So he didn't make any money. Now it was sold in a so-called fire sale to Sprinkler. I don't even know who Sprinkler is. There's an irony there.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt bad. I felt bad about this for him. I told him I was sorry it happened this way. This is tough. But like, when you're a founder, particularly when you're going out trying to get funding, I mean, your job is to sell, is to be as optimistic to the point of absurdity about the possibilities that are, within your business, right? So I think, it's particularly when you get into a bidding war situation, which is basically what they had in the show, which is fictional, of course. But, more money feels like more success. That's more staff you can hire. That's an office. That's, so you can do so many different things. So it's a tough thing, I think, for a founder at that early stage, especially when a company is basically just an idea, to say we're not worth this much. In the show, he says, can we do that? Can we ask for less? Does anybody do that?
Yeah.
But yeah,
and it was right
it's
on. And Lane Becker says, ask for less. He says, although I thought it was more a game of chess, it's more a game of thrones.
That's a great line.
Venture capital is a game, and we lost. Poor guy. Now, of course, the current CEO did fine, and the CFO and late-stage investors did fine, but the guy who thought up Get Satisfaction, which is a brilliant idea, got nothing. So a little lesson there, ripped straight from the headlines.
And HBO.
We didn't get your opinion. You think Silicon Valley's okay, Jeff?
I haven't watched the season yet.
Yeah, well, you didn't miss anything. It's the first episode was Sunday, so.
Yeah, I know, but I'm in such a habit now of watching everything on my Nexus 7. I've been flying like crazy. I was in Copenhagen for 24 hours last week, and I'm going to Italy and UK this week. And so I just stock up on things on my Nexus 7, and that's how I watch TV now.
Well, I was thinking that on Sunday, because Sunday night, if you were a live TV viewer, was purgatory, because you had Good Wife, you had a new Good Wife episode, you had a new Mad Men episode, the second in the season, the final season, and you had Game of Thrones, Veep, and Silicon Valley, all on the same night, and some against each other, and that would not. I don't think that would have happened quite so readily in the VCR on demand days.
Well, you had a little bit of that.
Well, you did it, but if you did it, you did it on purpose. You said, like, we're going to take that guy down.
Bingo. Yes.
Right.
But you knew it was bad for viewers if they had to, and ultimately for you, if they had to figure out, well, what do we watch?
I'm spending a fortune now buying shows.
Yeah.
Yes, I buy in content, people.
No, I'm with you.
I mean, I'm like Good Wife. I actually don't want to watch it too fast now. I'm saying
I know, because you're coming to the end, right?
Oh, I'm not. No, I'm up season 3.
Oh, we're on season 2. Good, we're with you. It's so good.
It's so
but you know
good.
what? It's a mindless show.
Great.
It's good. You can sit there. You don't have to. Game of Thrones. If you miss 30 seconds,
you
go, who's that?
Hopeless.
Who are they? What is going on? Why did he do that? Oh my God! But Good Wife, you can miss the whole thing and understand what happened.
I'm watching season 1 of Justified right now, which just ended last night.
Love that.
That's
show.
great.
Yeah.
Banshee, I'm watching. Love Orphan Black.
Yeah.
Oh, Orphan Black that woman is.
She's an
incredible.
amazing actress.
Amazing.
She, for those who don't know
alien.
this show, she's a clone and plays many different versions.
9 parts, I think.
And it's really amazing because it's like 9 different actors. It's incredible.
It's wild.
Incredible. But I have to say, we live in a golden age for people who want to consume television.
Yeah, we do.
Oh God!
We cancel HBO. We don't have HBO. We canceled after Game of Thrones. Basically, what we would do, we would subscribe during the Game of Thrones run and then watch Girls and all the other stuff during that time. But so we didn't even subscribe to HBO this time. We just did HBO Now, which was nice and it worked really well for us. But I really liked that I could start. The Game of Thrones, the new episode was available starting at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we could start it when we wanted, and we could, pause it, and we had like a lot of functionality, and it's a free trial. You get it for, it's free for 30 days right now to get all the HBO shows.
Their timing is good. This is a good time to get people hooked on HBO.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
Leo, one of my many weaknesses is popcorn. I love to go to the movies just to sit down and have greasy popcorn. I have not seen a movie worth even considering in 2 months.
No, in fact, I actually actively don't go to movies so that I have something to watch at home.
But there's so little to see, is my point.
There's crappy
it's just
movies.
crap. TV is so much better than the movies. I said that when I was a TV critic, and it was partly true. Now it is really true.
Now it's actually true. In fact, we interviewed a guy on Triangulation. I highly recommend the book. And his whole premise is The Sopranos changed everything. That with the rise of the writer slash showrunner, suddenly people who wanted to make movies shifted to TV because you had so much more scope. Because instead of a 2-hour story, you could tell a 60-hour story, and you could really develop the characters. And the power of the writer increased incredibly thanks to David Chase, and you know, it's probably started with NYPD and shows like that, but now it's writ large. I mean, now there's no question about it. Even, you know, a lot of filmmakers are making TV now. Have you seen Daredevil on Netflix? That's supposed to be amazing.
No, I haven't yet.
That's the Sissy Spacek one?
I don't know. It's a comic book.
Oh,
have you seen it, Jason?
I saw the first
It's a Netflix
episode.
original, and people are raving about it.
Yeah, people are going nuts about it. I saw the first episode, and I couldn't tell if it was just my disconnection with all things comic book, because I was not a comic book kid.
Yeah, me neither, yeah.
But it's a Marvel comic, from what I understand. And I don't know. I felt it was a little slow. Supposedly it picks up. And some of the acting I thought was kind of iffy.
Maybe it's not that great.
But no, I put out
that
that sentiment on Twitter a couple of days ago after I saw it, and everybody came back and said, "Give it time." You know, and usually with these longer form, you know, shows like this, yeah, you almost have to put your faith in it that 5 episodes in you're going to be hooked, and usually by the time you get 5 episodes in, you understand where they're going and kind of the theme.
Well, and I think that's what's changed. So
yeah, totally.
They made a movie of Daredevil, but it's 2 hours. You don't have the leisure to waste the first hour. Not waste, but to take the first hour to gradually set up characters, set up payoffs and things like that. But when you know you're going to, especially nowadays where they buy a whole season and just say, here's $100 million, make 13 of them, you got at least 13 hours. That's a big difference. And for these great writers, they're just loving this. What was the name of the book? It was such a good book. You probably know the guy. He was a TV critic. I can go back to my Audible list and find it. But there was one other thing I wanted to mention real quickly to you, Jeff. The Whirly Pop Stovetop Popcorn Popper.
Oh.
This will satisfy your need for high-quality movie theater popcorn at home.
Oh.
And it kind of looks fun to have in your...
Yeah, it does. I'll get yelled at, though.
Why? Because it smells like popcorn in the house?
No, and I shouldn't be eating it.
Popcorn's good for you, isn't it? That's a whole grain.
It's oily as hell. Yeah, the fat content is to no.
Fat's good for you. Haven't you been keeping up? Everybody knows that.
Well, I got enough of it, Leo.
I do too. God knows.
So the movie popcorn is actually about getting out of the house and hiding out and eating something maybe.
I love
I'm eating something that's salty and oily and bad
and
for
buttery
you.
and
Too much of it, and I'm happy. I hate people in movie theaters, but I like the popcorn.
I'm gonna look at my. It was.
They talk. They make noises.
No, I like big
they
screens. I still go to movies, but I notice now I'm much more likely to say, let's save that one for home.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
We just finished Unbreakable, Kimmy Schmidt. That grew on me. It took a few episodes.
That's a weird show. I'm not sure how I feel.
Very weird show.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
I'm trying.
For those who wanted another 30 Rock, it's not that.
It's very Tina Fey. Like it took me a few episodes, but what drew me in was the song, the theme song.
I love the open.
Funny. I mean, the open is amazing, and the premise is kind of amazing.
Because it's a play on memes. It's a play on. In fact, much of the show is a play on memes, and you know the modern world. The plot is that Kimmy Schmidt was in what was the name of the reverend who put her down there?
Oh,
Reverend Gary Paul Gary or something like that. Took 4 Indiana women and told them the world had ended.
Right.
And we got to stay down here in the bunker. And she was there for a long time.
And it's Don Draper. I mean, it's John Hamm who plays the Reverend.
I didn't see. Oh, see, that's a spoiler because I haven't got to that part yet.
Oh, sorry.
The Reverend shows up.
Yes. Yes.
And they call them the Indiana Mole Women.
Mole Women, yes.
So Kimmy Schmidt comes to New York to try to create a new life where she's somewhere where she's not known as a mole woman. Let me see. Is this the open? Because
Richard Wayne, Gary Wayne, yeah.
Richard Wayne, Gary Wayne. Yeah, this is the open.
No audio. Unmute on.
All right, let me unmute this so you can see it. So what they've done, you remember, what was the first one where some tragedy happened and they were interviewing a bystander and he was crazy.
Yeah, like hide your wives, hide your kids.
Hide your kids, hide your wives, right. And they made a song out of it. So this open to the show is that. This is it.
Rescued from an underground apocalypse cult allegedly run by
self-proclaimed Messiah, Reverend Richard Wayne, Gary Wayne, best known to Yelp users in this area
as Durnsville's worst wedding DJ. I am now joined by a neighbor who watched all the drama.
Okay, so they got like 4 things in there already.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Known by, and Yelp to. Okay.
Mr. Bankston?
Oh, yeah. What had happened was I was outside cutting up bike tires for my grandson when out of nowhere, 100 police vehicles came booking. They went busting up in that weird old white dude's house. He had smoke up in there. White dudes hold the record for creepy crimes, but females strong as hell. Unbreakable. They alive, damn it.
I think this is the best TV show theme ever.
Yeah.
This is the full version. They don't usually show this whole thing. They're using Songify. This is actually all you really need to watch.
It's true.
They come out their hole, look around like a bunch of talks at 20 fields. And I said, Nathan, is this for reals?
I've never seen the whole thing.
Yeah,
No, I didn't either.
1, 2, 3, 4 girls come on. Unbreakable. They alive. It's America. Unbreakable. They alive. Damn it. But females are strong as hell.
Females are strong as hell.
Amazing.
This is why I'm glad I live in the 21st century.
No, seriously. I mean, it's so meta.
It's meta.
I mean,
Yeah.
white dudes hold the record for creepiest crime.
You got to listen to every line he says. Apparently, you can get the video of him just doing the talking, and that's hysterical. So I'm not, but the rest of the show, I'm less. It's like less
But
great.
it's moments when it's a different definition of cringeworthy. Not cringeworthy because it's bad, but cringeworthy because the situation is just so. Yeah.
I love it because I make fun of rich New Yorkers.
Yeah, I love the rich New Yorker.
Broadway types,
Yeah.
naive, young white women. I mean, there's just like, it's the whole gamut. It took us a few episodes that we got into
Yeah.
it. Get to Richard Gary Wayne, Gary.
I haven't.
Wayne.
I didn't know it's John Hamm. That's going to change everything.
Yeah,
That
a completely
changes
different actor
everything.
than Mad Men, obviously.
Oh, I love him.
You
Yeah.
know what? Yeah, okay, here. Have you heard this confession from me?
You don't like Mad Men?
I cannot get past episode 1. I've tried 4 times. Can't do it. Episode 1 is just cliche-ridden, overdone.
Well, you're going to really hate this season because it is everything you hate about Mad Men.
Oh,
And
and
then
I
some.
tried the other day. I think if we talked about it last time, I tried and I went into episode 2 and I made it like 5 minutes and I said I can't do this. Can't
I
do
don't
it.
know why we love it, but we do.
Yeah.
This season's a
is
little. The new season's a little.
Brooding Dawn.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm a little bit enough of that. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. There's the TV
Sorry.
portion of this show.
I didn't mean to.
Not you. What do you mean you? I take full responsibility. We went there, man. We did. Actually, I was gonna segue into HBO Now. This was the launch of the over-the-top version of HBO. People could, without a subscription to a cable company, pay $15, get HBO Now on Apple TV, iPad, or iPhone, and watch Game of Thrones and Veep and all of that. I
On
don't.
Android?
No Android yet. They have an exclusive with Apple, and I think it's just for the first few months. But so far, no, it's iOS only.
Snobs.
Well, I'm sure Apple.
It's in-app purchases through the App Store.
So Apple gets a little.
It was a weird subscription experience, I thought. And
Did you
thought
do
about-
it?
Yeah, I thought about subscriptions a lot. Yeah, I signed up for HBO Now. I did it on my iPad, and then I wound up So if you signed up on your iPad or your iPhone, then you could watch it on the web. So I watched it on the web and casted it to my TV.
Oh, nice.
Like casted the tab. And given even all of that, it was very performant. And this was Sunday night when Game of Thrones got released.
Well, that was the question mark, was because remember last year, HBO Go had horrible problems.
Yep.
Sling TV, similar problems during March Madness, the NCAA basketball tournament last month. So HBO had gone to MLB TV, the Major League Baseball network, to supply the feed this time. And,
and somebody got
worked.
fired and hired.
Oh,
and
yeah. They had spent millions on their own thing in Seattle, and they fired the guy. And
yeah, they did a good job because it worked. But the subscription process was a little weird. So you download the app on the iPad, and then you would, opt into this free trial, which then just starts charging you automatically after 30 days, which I kind of hate. Don't charge
because you always
don't make
forget.
me opt out. But,
yeah.
So you would do that. So now iTunes has all my information. And I've opted into this free trial, 30-day free trial, which I got to tell you, very generous. 30 days of unlimited HBO on the web. That's great. But then I had to create an account, which I was like, why am I creating an HBO Now account when the App Store has my information? I know that the App Store sandboxes that. Still felt like a weird experience. And I also just wish that it had been on my, I wish that I didn't have to go through my iPad, which I barely touch and is kind of slow. But, there's still that iOS first thing happening. So it was a good experience, except I didn't like the opt-out. You could go in and then edit your subscription and say, don't auto-renew this, but you had to opt out of that. But for the most part, it was pretty great.
They learned that from porn. Yeah.
That's exciting. They learned that from porn. What haven't we learned from porn after all?
Exactly.
By the way, Jeff.
Auto-renew was something that... Sorry.
We need to auto-renew your lighting system.
Oh, tell me about it.
They don't have auto-renew for Jeff's lights. Either that or they just think you're dead.
I'm alive. I tell you I'm alive.
Yeah, auto-renew is the bane of my existence in many cases. But by the way, Jeff, the name of that book was Difficult Men. Brett Martin, did you know him?
No.
He's a TV reporter for, I think he's a New York Magazine, a bunch of other places. But the premise of this is there was a creative revolution in television that started with The Sopranos, The Wire, and up to more recently. And he talks.
I think the point is right, but you can actually also go back in my era. It was Hill Street Blues and Cosby.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I think that's where it begins. In fact, he talks about Hill Street Blues in it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not popular to say anything good about Cosby these days, but I think he had a big impact on TV in its time.
Yeah. David Chase, David Simon, David Milch, Alan Ball. He talks about Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan. It's really good. Difficult Men is the name of the book. I highly recommend it. Let's take a break. There is, and I know Jeff will have something to say about this.
I'm going to take my blood pressure pills.
Take your pills, Jeff. There's something going on in Europe, and Jeff is not going to be happy about it. But first, a word from ZipRecruiter.com. If you're in the unenviable position of having to hire for your company, whether you're the HR person, or maybe it's a tiny company and it's just you and you need to hire an assistant. In fact, this is a lifesaver. You got to know about ZipRecruiter.com. It lets you post to, this is new. We say 50-plus job boards. I just went to the site. It now says 100-plus job boards with one submission. Couldn't be easier. You also get social networks like Facebook and Twitter. I know, though, some of you are saying, well, I don't want to post to 100 job boards. I'm going to get so many applicants. Well, you want that many applicants. The reason you don't want them is because you got all those emails and phone calls, but ZipRecruiter eliminates that. They provide you with an interface. All the calls, all the emails go to their interface, making it very easy for you to screen candidates, pick the right candidate. Very straightforward. In fact, so much so, we've arranged a 4-day trial. That will be enough to hire your first person, probably. ZipRecruiter.com/twig. Post to all the top job sites, all the social networks, single click of the mouse, find candidates in any industry nationwide. They make it easy to screen the candidates. You do it all within the ZipRecruiter interface, and they have ZipRecruiter's premium traffic boost, which will give you as many as 3 times more candidates. And you don't care. You don't mind because you've got a great way to handle them. The more candidates means the more likely you're going to find the right person. So as long as there's a way to handle it, and ZipRecruiter gives this to you. We love this, by the way. We love it. ZipRecruiter.com/twig. Get 30% off your first traffic boost and a free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/twig. We not only thank them for their support, but thank them for making a really great service. It solves a very big problem for people who have to do hiring. All righty. So, of course, it's so really interesting. I love hosting shows on Twit because every host has a different take. Paul Thurrott was thrilled that the European Union was finally going after Google. And you and I have had this discussion a couple of weeks ago because of the FTC documents that were leaked out to the Wall Street Journal by accident. Apparently, the EU is reading the Wall Street Journal, and it has now announced an investigation of Google on two different fronts. One, in the shopping realm, favoring their sites over competing sites and search results. And two, the deals they make with Android phones, AOSP versus true Google experience. Go ahead, Jeff. It's kind of what I was saying, though, Jeff, that, they need to be above suspicion, right?
Okay, so you're aligning yourself with the EU. Good, Leo. Good. That's the place you want to be.
I'm just trying to get you really revved up.
I know you are. I know. I was getting myself ready. Leo's gonna do the devil's advocate thing here today. All right, a couple things. Number one, I'm shocked at how little they have on them. Right. So BFD, Google points to its own shopping advertisers. Right. And we've had this discussion last week, and we've had it before, that of course a media property promotes its advertisers. No big deal there, but that's all they came up with in the actual formal complaint is that, and that's the possibility of a $6 billion fine. $6 billion because it points to shopping advertisers. I got calls today from BBC and ORF in Austria and others. And so they said, what's Google going to do? And I said, well, at one level, if Google just kills comparison shopping in Europe, it'll be a blip on the P&L. They don't make that much money from that. It's nothing. So kill it. Screw it. Okay, Europe. And what good did that do consumers in Europe? Nada. There's absolutely no consumer damage that can be found here. And in the follow-up on the FTC story,
by the way, that is Google's response exactly on the official blog. They title it "The Search for Harm," and they point out that these companies are doing great.
Well, the FTC, and let's the follow-up to that story was that it was not a political thing. It was both parties. It was a unanimous vote against going after Google because they found no consumer harm. So that's this entire $6 billion fine because they promote their shopping advertisers. Now, again, this is all European publishers because they had agreements with the EU a couple of times, and the political pressure stayed on from publishers to keep going after Google and also from Microsoft. Do you have no shame? Do you have no? Is it pure Schadenfreude? Microsoft, really? You went through this. You paid more than $3 billion, and just for the sheer joy of seeing someone else screwed the way you're screwed, you join in on this. So that's the one, is the shopping thing, and that's it. It's kind of ridiculous. The other piece is they've announced that they're going to investigate Android, but there too, I just find this amazing. Apple doesn't give away its OS; it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that was my response to Paul. It's as if you're penalizing Google for offering a free version of Android. Yeah, maybe it's limited, but Apple doesn't do that exactly right.
And you're perfectly free to put business conditions on that, and any company can say, "To heck with you, I'm going to use Symbian." It's free. And is it undue market power? Well, no, because Apple is still gets the lion's share of the attention. This is a purely political act. It's not a consumer protection act. It's not an antitrust act. It is an anti-American act.
Wow.
I don't know exactly where I stand on this. I've heard both arguments. Paul's very strongly in the other camp. I think I tend more into your side. Jeff. I think mostly because it's hard to show how Google has harmed anybody. Now, the Android investigation is as much to see if Google has reduced competition in handsets, in mobile phones. And but if they've done it by being successful.
By being A, successful, and B, free. I mean, could you accuse them of dumping an OS? In an open source world, that kind of logic doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But isn't the issue with Google's requirements over, the fact that Android handsets with the Google logo or that run Google's proprietary software have to meet particular requirements?
If you want
Is
the
that
Play,
the issue?
if you want the Play Store, which of course you do, you have to take everything else along with it.
Search, Gmail, Calendar, Chrome.
And that's a quality control. That's a perfectly legitimate business demand. We're giving you the free website. The condition is you take the stuff that's going to benefit us. Don't want it, don't do it. No problem. B, you can go off and use one on your own. You just won't get the Play Store and our stuff.
And by the way, many have. Amazon has done that.
Yeah.
And
so it's
Microsoft has done that. Frankly, there's a Microsoft X phone that is based on AOSP, the Google-less version of Android. And that's what baffles me a little bit is that, look, Apple is totally proprietary, doesn't give away a free version. They're okay, but Google giving away a free version somehow is made that worse, made that bad. I don't think that's the message you want to send to people.
Well, and once again, I'm going to argue this is what I call Euro-technopanic. Yeah. And Europe should beware the message that it has sent to the world.
I agree a little bit more on the
danger.
I agree a little bit more on the first part. I do worry, and we've talked about this, and I'm not going to belabor it, but I do worry. Google has, and Google, by the way, is more of a monopoly in the EU than it is here in the States.
But there's nothing illegal about being a monopoly. What's illegal is using monopoly power unfairly.
And I think if you ask somebody and they would say, do you think Google favors its own sites over competitors' sites in its search results? Most people would say, well, of course they do. That's just good business.
In fact, they do it a lot less, as we said on the show a few weeks ago.
But
the origin of search-based advertising was to buy position.
Right. And I did, in fact, do that search that you recommended of videos on Bing versus videos on Google. Yeah. And Google doesn't even show up if you search for videos on Bing. It's all Microsoft stuff. So everybody does that. I would argue that Google should be held to a higher standard. We've had that argument. And I wish Google didn't have these related businesses.
And part of your argument is, you've argued to split up Google, that it should be safer, they shouldn't do certain things. But as I was preparing for your counterintuitive arguments.
Oh, crap. You prepared for this? Oh, shoot. I'm in trouble.
That's it. We're screwed.
And this goes to the European privacy issues, too, right? So if you split up by one means or other, by not allowing data to go across or by splitting up the company or whatever, if you split up Google in some form or another, search will simply not be as good if it doesn't have Android. Android will simply not be as good if it doesn't have search data.
Yes,
and on and on and on. Whatever you use from Google, the more you use it, the better it's going to be for you.
I agree with you.
That's a new business reality.
The big data aspect of it is very valuable to me. I use Google now, and the more it knows about what I do, the better.
Well, I wish that were true for me, but that's another story.
You don't actually get the benefit of it. But but speaking purely from my own perspective, and this is going to really come up because Google is changing the partnership agreements on YouTube, which may chase us from YouTube.
Oh,
and if that, but so let's say they do, because right now all our shows are available on YouTube. But if you searched for This Week in Google on Google and Google favored the YouTube version versus some other version, because it's YouTube and because they make money on it, that could be a real detriment to my business.
What proportion of your viewership is YouTube? By the way?
It's not much. It's not a big deal. But let's put it this way: the way Google wants to do it is, we'll take care of all the advertising. You don't have to think about that. They don't like it that we sell our own advertising. That's why we're going to be banned from Google eventually, or YouTube eventually. But they take 45%.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested particularly in Google's participation in my advertising. I don't.
So
that's too
here's the
much.
secret. Where there is something worth watching from an antitrust perspective is not about consumer services at all. It's about Google's power in advertising. That's where Google is a monopoly, and we've had this discussion also on the show.
But the search results are all I care about, and Google can put me out of business by making its search results favor Google properties, or at least to stay in business, forcing me to use Google's ad sales instead of my own. And I feel like that's using its near monopoly in search to enter a new market. They're in the YouTube business all of a sudden. But you're right, it is advertising is the business, and that's not a new market for them.
And they use in their market power sometimes, the other funny thing about it is Google Fiber, right, has pushed competitors to offer better service. And now the Google MVNO, the more we're starting to learn about it through leaks and such, the phone service is going to push the phone industry. It's a weird thing. I don't know what the analog is for your example of before there's a YouTube. There's no open platform you could have been on for the sake of
we don't use YouTube. We don't need YouTube.
Yeah.
But if YouTube if Google by changing its search results forces us to use YouTube, it will cost us a significant amount of revenue.
Now I get it. Okay, now I get it. Okay.
We don't want but I'm willing to put stuff on. So here's the email I got. Updated YouTube partner terms. Your fans want choices. That's a bad start.
Uh-oh.
Not only do they want to watch what they want whenever they want it, anywhere on any device they choose, which, by the way, is a direct ripoff from a speech I gave 10 years ago. They want YouTube features built specifically with their needs in mind. Over the past several months, we've taken bold new steps to bring these experiences to life. Blah, blah, blah. To build on this momentum, taking another big step in favor of choice, offering fans an ad-free version of YouTube for a monthly fee. By creating a new paid offering, we'll generate new sources of revenue that will supplement your fast-growing advertising revenue. By the way, from their point of view, that fast-growing advertising revenue is from them and them alone. Launching a new paid offering will require us to update your terms through your Creative Studio dashboard, a process that should feel familiar. If you look at it closely, what they say is it's the same thing that they offered that musician we were talking about. If you do not want to participate in this, no problem. We'll make all your videos private.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. So I say, have at 'em, a European Union. And if you want anybody to testify, I'll be glad to.
Well, this goes back to our discussions, Gina, about Twitter and developers over the years, too. When you become, and what they did by cutting off the fire hose people, when you become dependent on a platform, we've had this discussion before, but there needs to be some major discussion about definitions of what's ethical behavior.
In fact, this doesn't really bother me because they aren't an important. I never did build on the YouTube platform. I've always been against building on somebody else's platform, always. So we now aren't so at risk because of that. But I think there are a lot of people who might be.
I mean, it seems like, to me, Leo, it seems like YouTube, the best use of YouTube for you, and of course this would require a lot more sort of editing and that kind of thing, but like meme 30-second to 60-second mashups of ads for Twitch shows, that people want to share, best highlights.
And we do that. And that's if in the worst case scenario, if this all happens, I don't know if it will, but if this all happens and they kick us off YouTube because we have our own ads, no problem, because that's exactly what we do, is ad-free short versions of our shows. So we call them TwitBits. We do it right now, youtube.com/twit. We do it right now.
You need to do it for Facebook, too, because shorter things. Gina, it's kind of brilliant because they don't want you to have your own ads, so you just become an ad instead.
Right.
I like that, yeah.
But yeah, no, look, it's always a risk when you become dependent on a platform. Listen, we just went through this with ThinkUp. We built ThinkUp's billing system using Amazon payments, and Amazon sunsetted the product, and they didn't offer any sort of, well, they haven't yet. I actually think they're changing their mind, but they didn't offer a way to take existing subscribers and move them into their new system. And it's going to be a big hit to us. I mean, it's subscribing, like customers who pay us through Amazon are going to have to come back and repay.
Wow.
And it's tremendous. And I'm working with them now. They are maybe going to create some sort of transition tool because so many people were so upset. But it's one of those things, particularly as a small startup or any kind of startup, you're going to depend on APIs and services and hope that they're going to do the right thing. And you hope that these huge platforms like Amazon and YouTube and Twitter and Facebook are going to do the right thing. We're going through a similar thing with Facebook. The Graph API 2.0 is way more limited than it used to be, so we have to ThinkUp has to kind of pull back the data that we pull, which limits on the kind of insights that we can create. But it's kind of like life in the big city. I mean, I think it's really important for all of us as consumers as APIs and as consumers in general to ask these companies to do the right thing. And Leo, you have a right to complain. Although I definitely would just keep doing the twit bits or twit bits the way that you're doing. Yeah. I mean, you were smart to not become dependent on YouTube being your distribution
I specifically did that. Yeah, but it's very tempting because it's free, right? So people would say, "Oh, this is great. You could get." And there a lot of people built their business on YouTube. Now, when you do that, you all along you knew you were going to only get 65% of the ad revenue.
Yeah, there's other examples of using. I think we saw eBay got people addicted to them as a service, and then when they owned the market, they increased the rates, opening up the door, by the way, for Amazon to come into the business.
It does. It does create competition. Part of the problem is there's no competition for YouTube at this moment. But my larger issue wasn't with this. What was with this? This is my example of how monopoly in search could promote a subsidiary business. In this case, Google's search favoring YouTube results would harm me because I either have to accede to Google's demands for 45% of my revenue or not be on YouTube. And if YouTube is what shows up when you search for This Week in Google, I may not have a real choice. So that's where they can use the leverage of search to enter a new market, streaming videos. But it is all ad sales, so I don't know if it's a new market. I don't know, I'm just... By the way, this process with the EU is much faster than it is in the United States. Google has, I think, 10 weeks to respond, and Google has immediately responded on their blog.
So here's the question I got asked today. If you were Google, what do you do? Because somebody was saying, do you negotiate? Do you go to court? What do you do?
Yeah, because I don't know if there's an appeals process in that. I don't know what the process is, but I don't know.
I think you go to court. If you don't agree, then they'll sue Google.
Then you can go to court.
Then you go to court.
Okay.
WIPI, the European court that's done the right to be forgotten decision.
Right.
It seems like this is the core of Google's business. They've got to stand up as hard as they possibly can for what they're doing and fight it out.
So the memo that went out internally, of course, Recode got Googlers. As this, I presume, comes from Larry, but I don't know. I have to go to the very bottom. It doesn't say. As the Financial Times has just reported, the European Commission will tomorrow issue a statement of objections, blah, blah, blah. They say it's very disappointing. We have a very strong case with especially good arguments, especially when it comes to better services for users and increased competition. So they've laid out in this internal memo their defense and some of the same graphs that they showed today in the blogs. I think this is to tell the employees, no, we're going to fight this, and we think we have a good defense. This is just the start of a process, does not mean the EC will necessarily take action. For example, they opened and closed an inquiry into iTunes a few years ago. We have a very strong case on Android as well. Finally, we know the upcoming announcements will be distracting, but you can help in two ways. First, by not commenting on pending legal issues internally or externally, and second, by focusing on what you do best, building great products.
And meanwhile, today, I think the stuff that got leaked out about the MVNO, the new phone service, is Google saying, new business too. Let's keep going.
Yeah, good, because there might be some temptation to say, oh, well, let's not launch new businesses at this point. Keep going.
I mean, again, and I've said this before, I think Google did blow it to a rather considerable extent by not understanding the political clout of the especially German publishers.
Yeah.
And they're late to the party now because those guys are saying, okay, now you're in a position of weakness. What are you going to do to make us happy? And they could have had a better relationship with them earlier of mutual interest. It was possible. The publishers were all, FOS, about their Leistungsschutzrecht and all that stuff, but it was a game. And the game went way too far, and they didn't understand the political clout. They didn't understand paying heed to politicians in the EU because they were all going after Google. They've been doing it for about 5 years, and there is the Silicon Valley / American hubris here, which is going to have some measure of business impact on them.
Of course, and not just the German publishers, but the Wall Street Journal, which really kind of
Murdoch
stirred the pot there a little bit.
That's purely Murdoch has an obvious.
But look at this. So here's an article in the Wall Street Journal: 5 ways Europe is gunning for Google. Europe, feeling left behind by the digital revolution and scared its manufacturing and automotive industries could be next in line to fall to Silicon Valley, is legislating on all fronts to create what it calls a level playing field for all digital companies. Google is the main target of this legislation. This is like, is Rupert having it both ways?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't go after Google. And by the way, I believe in America.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
I think there's a story to be done here, but it ain't going to get done.
Yeah. Amir Mizrak wrote this antitrust, tax. That's right. That's another front Google's fighting on. The right to be forgotten. We know about that. Copyright. That goes back to the Spanish attempt to get Google News to stop snippeting. And data protection. The privacy stuff.
Meanwhile, Google stock is marginally up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's
so I think the market is saying this is Europe blowing smoke up America's rear.
Wow. That sounds painful.
I'll get some tweets for that. Yeah, I got one guy
sounds like Leo's toilet.
Where is the blowing smoke button? I need that button.
Yeah, we need the blowing smoke button.
I wish more people would blow smoke up my. Yeah.
I just thought of a new feature.
Now, by the way, let's try to find the etymology of that. What does blowing smoke up your rear come from?
I'm Googling. Google Now.
I think it's a conflation of 2 different sayings. Because blowing smoke was like blowing smoke rings. And then wasn't there a saying like blowing up your skirt? According to Gizmodo, it
used to be literal.
Okay, it used to be literal.
I didn't know if I could.
No, this is
medical procedure.
This
I think
is not. No, they actually did do it, but I don't think that's where the saying comes from. Is what I'm saying. It just shows they've been doing high colonics since before the beginning of time. Google is not reluctant to enforce its power in interesting ways. We talk on Security Now all the time about how Google's, telling, websites, you got to use SSL, you got to stop using SHA-1. And now with Chrome, the latest edition of Chrome 42, which came out, I think today, I just got it, they're turning off NPAPI, NPAPI or NPAPI. How do you say that, Gina? NPAPI? Hey!
I say NPAPI.
NPAPI. Which really should have been deprecated a long time ago. It comes from Netscape, mid-90s. It stands for the Netscape Plugin API. And that's how Flash worked and Silverlight worked.
Java.
If you are using, if you're on a site that uses NPAPI to turn on Java in your browser, it won't work. Now, IE dropped it in version 5.5, so I have a feeling there aren't many sites that still do this. If you're using Safari or Firefox, you can still use the NPAPI extensions. But this is an example of Google using its weight for good.
Benefit. Yeah, for our benefit.
Yeah. There's been incredible leadership, I think, with Chrome. Just making the web better. Using
Farhad
to get better.
Manjoo. Sorry, Gina.
No, go ahead.
Farhad Manjoo in the Times after Google after the EU thing did look back, as everyone's going to, at the Microsoft decision and said, how absurd now to think that not including a browser was the right thing to do. Of course you're going to include a browser. What's wrong with that?
But that's what Microsoft got in trouble for.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is that's the perspective of the time. And he's saying now look back at the basis of the Microsoft decision and how absurd its assumption was.
Right. That's also the issue with how slow in the U.S. anyway these things move.
Yes.
It's and tech moves so fast that.
Yeah, and so basically he said that Google was going to outgrow this issue quickly, and that the next and the web advertising is probably topping out. I think that's a fair statement. And that the next, and this goes back to your YouTube discussion, the next wave of advertising disruption is going to be broadcast advertising coming to the web. And guess who's in a great position to get that?
Yeah.
Google.
Hey, are you in the mood, Gina? Do you ever, when you're sitting there with your hot hero sandwich in hand, do you ever say, gosh, I wish I had a Google changelog to do?
The Google changelog.
The trumpets can be raised at any moment.
They are at the ready all the time,
Always ready.
even when Gina's not here, just in case Gina flies in suddenly and says it's time for the changelog.
Before you do the changelog, we want to do an ad, but would you be willing?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Let's change it up.
Cool. We'll get the trumpets again.
All right.
Oh, no, you can't ever have too many changelogs.
That was a waste of a great transition there. Waste.
I should have warned you I was going to go to an ad.
I hear the words, Leo. I've got an itchy trigger finger. I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's do this. Waste no time.
Our show today brought to you by FreshBooks. If you're a freelancer or a small business, you know the worst part of the month is the last day of the month when you send out those invoices. Well, for me, it was the last day. Probably you're more organized, right? You send them 5 days before the end or 10 days before the end. I would wait till the end of the month going, well, I could send them out on the 30th, right? The 31st. And then I'd wait a little longer, say, well, I missed this month. Well, I'll send them at the 30th and this next month. And then I'd wait another month. And by then I had 5 invoices, and it was just not nice. Back in the old days when I was doing my own thing, a freelancer, it was Amber MacArthur who saved my life. I was complaining about this to her because I would go up to Canada once a month for a week and do shows up there, and I had to invoice Rogers. She said, "You need FreshBooks." Nice Toronto boys created a nice little company, cloud accounting. Here we are 10 years later, 5 million customers use FreshBooks. Everybody knows about FreshBooks. It's the super simple cloud accounting software that helps over 5 million people save time billing and get paid faster. You'll create and send super slick personalized invoices in less than a minute. I mean, it was such a revelation. It makes it easy to capture and manage your expenses too with their FreshBooks apps. You just use the camera on your phone to take pictures, to manage the receipts. And the app also does time and hours, so you can keep track of all your billable hours while you're on the go anywhere. Just press the button. When you start, press the button when you stop. And it automatically goes right into the invoice. It's so great. They do multi-currency, which was a huge burden for me before I started using FreshBooks. I had to bill in Canadian dollars. They do it all. And if you ever need help, and I never did, I have to say this, I loved it, and I never, ever had to call for help. But if you do, the FreshBooks supports rock stars, are famous for their knowledge, and a real person is there in the FreshBooks office. There they are, ready to help you, to amaze you with their helpfulness. I said the boys at FreshBooks. It's really the boys and girls at FreshBooks, the folks at FreshBooks. Really great team. Very nice people. And getting started is so easy, and it's free for 30 days. No obligation. Just go to freshbooks.com/twig. It's tax day today, and I bet you're wishing you'd been using FreshBooks for the last 12 months. I bet you anything. Next April 15th, you'll feel much better. Freshbooks.com/twig. This is the time. Don't put that off. You know you want to change how you do it. Today's the day. Freshbooks.com/twig. And just do me a favor. There's a section where they say, how did you hear about us? Just write This Week in Google or Twig. It'd be a great benefice to us. Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Google changelog.
The Google changelog.
Again.
Encore.
I'm a little rusty, so I may ask your help.
That's all right.
for
We're
this
here
one.
for you, baby.
So we were talking about Chrome 42 stable earlier, deprecating the NPAPI API. Chrome 42 also got a really cool, interesting new feature, which I am very excited about, particularly for the app I work on. Push notifications. Web push notifications are now available to everyone. This is in the stable version of Chrome 42. What this means, if I understand it correctly, I'm still like researching and trying this out. Basically, your browser can send you push notifications even if it's closed or the tab has closed, similar to your phone. And this is happening on Chrome on Android as well. So this is giving web apps the ability to send you a push notification. Of course, you get the ability to opt out and say, this site should never send me notifications. This just went stable, and I actually was trying to find some examples of sites that are using this so far. I haven't found any except for like developer demos, but I'm excited about this. Browsers have had, and Chrome has had like little pop-up notifications, but the key here is that apps can push to you even when the tab is closed.
Thank goodness Gina was here to explain that, because I had no idea. Because I've been asked by websites, do you want notifications? But I didn't know that that's the difference. So now even if but Chrome has to be running?
I don't think that Chrome even has to be
Wow.
running. I could be wrong. Chat room, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what makes these different than the little notifications that you've probably seen on different apps. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, it also has the potential to be super noisy, and I have a whole sort of interesting. I mean, I got this whole sort of rumination about how everything is notifications now. From the watch and the phone, and it seems like push notifications because email is a complete mess. And users don't have home pages anymore. This is how apps re-engage people, by pushing, and sometimes not so well. Sometimes it's noisy, but and hopefully these notifications, I haven't played with them too much, will be a little richer and will let you do things with them the way that the notification shade on Android lets you do things. I don't think that they're at that level now, but it seems like that's the inevitable path that we're going down. So I'm excited about this. I think this will be pretty cool.
Jeff, I'm sorry, I think I stepped on you. Did you have a question? I'm trying to figure out. I have some notifications working on some sites. I'm just trying to figure out which ones. Does Hacker News do it? I get notifications. Oh, that's from Pushbullet. I'm getting Hacker News.
Yeah, I've been using Pushbullet for a long time, and I really like it. Lance Seedman in the chat room is saying it's using the GCM connection server, Google Cloud Messaging. So that's. Yeah, so even if Chrome is closed, so that's pretty
amazing.
That's pretty new.
It's really interesting, this strategy, because I now have the Chrome app launcher in my dock on Mac, which means that all the extensions I add on my Pixel show up as apps available on my Mac in the dock, and it's a really interesting kind of move into the desktop. But I like it.
Yeah, that's cool. And and this is huge for web developers who don't have who say only want to make an app for push notifications. You don't need to make an app. This will work through the web, which is huge. Yeah.
So you're going to do this with ThinkUp.
Sites could use this.
News sites, yeah, absolutely.
And news sites can do this, right? So ideally, with ThinkUp, when you get a new insight, my sort of dream of the native app was like, hey, just let me know when I have a new insight, push to me when I get a new insight, and now we can do that through the site.
Where all will it push to you? It'll push to you on your desktop. Will it also push to you mobile?
Anywhere you're signed into Chrome. Yeah, this is working on Android as well. So this is kind of a big deal.
So presumably it will use the notification system native to the OS. So on OS 10, for instance, it'll use the notifications there, right? Or is it going to give you its own unique style?
I'm not sure. I think it actually might be a browser implemented notification. So I'm not sure if it's going to use the notification bar.
Maybe it would just have its own.
Yeah.
Possibly similar to how you get the Google Now card kind of overlay on the desktop. Sometimes you see the Google Now kind of notifications drop down. Maybe it'll be tied into something like that.
It might be similar to that.
Look at my settings. There must be a setting for notifications.
This is really new, and I looked all around. I was asking on Twitter, where can I try this out? And there's a couple of Mozilla docs that are documenting the very new sort of web API, that exists. And I kind of saw, I saw one that said, hello world. But I haven't actually seen this in action yet. But this is pretty new, and we are definitely looking into it. And
I love that.
Yeah. What else do we have?
Lance Seidman says use GCM.onMessage event.
Right, so Google Cloud Messaging.
Right. And you could just send a message to that and boom, you'd have a pop-up. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, this is the dream. This is the Google I/O conversation. A couple Google I/Os ago about how all your devices you're signed into your same Google account across all your devices, and the devices are aware. Have you dismissed a notification here? And so it gets dismissed across all your devices. I mean, this is the the multi-device world that we're living in, and so hopefully all these notifications will be smart that way. Google Cloud Mess?
I'm looking in the settings. It's in the content settings on your Chrome browser. I'm sorry, it's under privacy content settings, and you have to scroll down a long ways, and you'll get to notifications, and you can block globally, allow all sites to show notifications, ask when a site wants to show notifications. That's the default. Do not allow any site to show notifications, and then you can manage the exceptions. And
this is what we went through.
We see this again. Yeah, this is what you were getting, Jeff. In fact, that's what you were getting last week was a notification.
Yes. Yeah.
Are those gone?
I got a spam notification. They're gone. Yeah, that worked. Boy, people got mad at me on Twitter. You took up an hour on your little problem. Leo told me to.
No. First of all, that was something we all needed to benefit from, and it was a kind of not malicious but aggressive.
Yes.
Chrome extension, Netflix extension. It was called. I can't remember the name of it, but no, I think
that's the one thing I fear about this, Gina, is that
bad guys will use it.
You may sign up for something and not know how to get rid of it. It keeps on bugging you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think actually on the notification panel itself, on every single notification, there's a adjust these settings or never show me this again. I know that's how Pushbullet does it. It'll say, never show me this again or dismiss this across devices. So I think there's a pretty high level, sort of front row level of control. And the permissions prompt is similar to when a web page wants to use your location. So before a site can send you notifications, it'll say, hey, can this site send you notifications? So you actually opt in. That's the default setting that Leo just showed us.
Right.
So, hopefully it'll be a good user experience a user can control.
What else you got?
The Google handwriting input app is now in the Play Store. Now, Leo, you and I have sort of made fun of these handwriting things before. We have, and I get you. Yes. I'm not going to be drawing on my screen very often, but I got to tell you, I downloaded this thing and I started writing, and it was fun. It was pretty good. What I really like about this input. So now this is an alternate input. It's not a keyboard. They're not calling it a keyboard. They're calling it input. So like voice input or an alternate keyboard, you can draw the letters on your screen and write that way. And Google, that's how you can write text. It also works with emoji. So you can draw emoji to enter emoji, which I got to tell you is kind of fun. I spent a lot of time drawing a bunch of emoji just to see, how they came up. So it's the handwriting input supports 82 languages, and it's fun and it's fast. It's just kind of an alternate keyboard to if you feel like if you've got a device with a stylus, for example.
So it installs as a keyboard.
Yeah, it installs as a keyboard,
okay.
So you can switch the input. Just the way you'd switch to say Swift key or some alternate keyboard, you can switch to this, and
And you just tap that little.
And you scribble. And it does cursive, it does handwriting, it does emoji. It's fun.
Installing it right now.
Yeah.
Search for Google handwriting app.
Handwriting input. Yeah.
Input. Yeah.
So I got a new thing just came in. Thank you to Alex Dennis in the chat room. This is on the Google's Google Plus page. And I haven't had a chance to try this. Maybe you can try this, Leo. If you can now task your computer where your phone is. So if you've lost your phone or it's, stuck under the couch cushions, I guess you can say, find my phone. I actually don't say what you need to say. If you know where your computer is, you can now ask Google to find your Android phone from your desktop. If the pesky phone is hiding nearby,
so you type?
Google can ring it for you.
Okay, fine. So you're in Google and you type find my phone in the Google search results.
Yeah.
And then you have to sign in for your security. Sign in again to get your phone's location. I'm going to sign in. Wow, this is in the search results.
In the search results.
By the way, 1,840,000,000 results. I think that's all of them. Oh, and you can choose the phone, too. So it's looking for my Nexus 6, but I want it to search. Nexus 6 is in Petaluma, yeah. Let me search for the phone I got in my hand right now. Wow, this is great. So this is the Android Device Manager. You must have to have that installed.
you have to have the latest Google search app installed.
Right.
Oh.
And this has got to be talking to Device Manager.
Ah, so cool.
So this says,
And I'm getting
Contacting your
a
phone.
pop-up notification that says Google Play Services device location shared. Android's device manager located this phone. There it is.
Yeah,
What do you want, a pat
there
on the
it
back?
What do you want?
accurate,
A pat on the back?
38 feet. There you
That's
go.
so
Okay.
funny. Let me search for the phone I got right now. There it is. Wow. That's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty fun.
In a Google search.
Oh, Google knows where you are.
Wait a minute.
all
Let
the
me see. I'm going to
time.
press the ring button because also in the search result is a button to ring it. Your phone will ring it.
5 minutes.
How do I stop it? It says it's going to do this for 5 minutes.
You can't. Just kidding. There's probably a way. There's got to be a way.
There you go.
By the way,
There
did you
you
see
go.
my new phone? It's such a pretty phone.
Ooh.
This is the Galaxy S6
Edgy.
Edge. Ooh.
You're still loving it?
Yeah, the battery life is just horrific, but
Oh, no.
well, it's 10 hours. But I carry a quick charger with me in my pocket now. I mean, what else are you going to do? You can't have an internal battery, so you have an external battery. But it's
Wait,
worth
Leo,
it.
I thought you were were you doing the watch? I thought you were going iOS for the watch.
Yeah, but it's not out yet. Give me a break.
Wait, I thought.
Give me a
there.
break. Wait a
It's the
minute.
24th. Yeah, okay. Sorry, it's a few days from now. For some reason, I thought you would. I think on Instagram, I saw you getting set up to order.
Oh, I
it.
ordered the watch.
Okay.
Lisa's is the Apple Watch. I guess now we just call it the watch.
Oh yeah.
But the watch comes a week from Friday. That's actually Lisa's, the 38 millimeter. Mine will come a couple of weeks after that. But Lisa's very generously said you can wear mine until yours comes.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. So no iOS. Good. Whew.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Don't fence me in, man. I love this phone. The battery life is so horrible that I don't, but boy, I love this phone. The camera on the S6 is unbelievable.
And your
Really?
fingers, they disable touch on the edge there. Like your
You
fingers.
get a
not-
few extra little spurious flicks and flugs, but mostly it's. I don't think they're disabling. They should do more to disable stray
Is there
inputs.
any practical value to the curve?
There's a very minor practical value. You can activate it. You can be a night clock, and if you do, and I can never get this right, so forgive me. But if you do like this weird
Are you kidding me?
this weird little swipe,
Okay.
then you get
Okay.
some edge material. That's the weather, date, and time. It has notifications, checking for news updates. It'll do sports scores. That's completely. Oh, it's a ticker. I think it's a Twitter ticker. There's stock results and stuff like that. I don't know what the value to that is, but and because you can't see it if it's face down. It's still upside down. Well, I thought I'd gotten that fixed, but maybe
Yeah,
not.
you
It's still upside down. It's like Samsung is like. There we go.
It's cool. There you go.
But I still don't know why I'd want to do that. And then it does another thing. You can have up to 5 people can have their own individual color. And here, let me. I gotta unlock that. I don't know what this watery thing it does is so weird. But you can have up to 5 people have their own individual color, and the edge will glow in one of those colors if you get a text or a phone call from them, and it's face down, which is like, okay, great, thank you.
But there is no bezel to prevent your screen from scratching if it's face down, right?
Well, I kind of don't want to put my screen
exactly.
like that.
Why encourage that?
It's kind of begging to be scratched. But the whole thing's glass, so it's all begging to
No,
be
that's true,
scratched.
that's
The
true.
whole thing is like, anyway.
It's pretty cool looking, but it also.
I
seems
love the
gimmicky.
edge because it just feels. It feels so nice. This is the best looking, best feeling smartphone I've ever used. It's just gorgeous.
Oh.
It's just
Yeah,
gorgeous.
that's
They
saying
really have
something.
done a nice job. Looks just like the iPhone. I'm just kidding. I'm just teasing you. No, it is really gorgeous. You hold it, it feels like quality. I just feel like wow.
It looks so dinky.
It is dinky. It's only 5.1 inches. Who ever thought that someday we'd say 5.1 inches was dinky?
I
Only
know.
5.1.
Only 5.1 inches. Only 577 dots per inch. That's what's crazy. I wish you could see this in person. It's like, what? It's okay, let's continue with the changelog.
Okay, last thing in the changelog.
Yes.
Sorry, diversions. This is what I love about the show. It's a feature.
It's all about
not
the diversions.
Squirrel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Squirrel. Snapseed. Snapseed.
Snapseed is that Google photo editing app that I think was powering a bunch of Google Plus photo stuff there for a while. Well, the mobile apps haven't gotten an update in 2 years, but they just got updated for both iOS and Android, and pretty good. I played with it for just a few minutes. It's pretty cool. Lots of new features. Stacks let you go back into your edits and undo particular edits, much like I guess they're not comparable to layers, but each edit that you do is its own thing, and you can undo. You can copy edits from one image to another. Got a bunch of new filters, lens blur, tonal contrast, glamour glow.
You even get a histogram. I mean, this is nice.
Really nice. It's a very premium image editor.
What are they complaining about?
They're complaining that the grunge filter has been taken off.
Aw.
That grunge filter.
So
what the
I
heck
just
is
did
a
some.
grunge filter?
I don't know.
The lens blur is really nice.
There's so many great things, and then you can undo, redo. Once you select it, as you say, it becomes part of a stack of changes that you've made that you can go back through. This is Photoshop in a can. I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, for these devices, there's a brush tool. You can apply effects to sections of an image, spot repair for healing and retouching certain pieces, transform, adjust perspective. Yeah, it's a very professional, full-featured image editing app that does a lot on a tiny screen, and I think it's for big screen, for tablets as well.
I'm crazy about it. It's funny because
my new image editor.
I was using Adobe's Aviary, and as soon as I didn't even know they changed it. The only reason I knew is because they have a new icon that's kind of like a little leaf thing, and when I said, "Wow, that's different," and then I went, "Oh my God, this is so much better than it ever before." I love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And the
very
UI is a really good education in what can be done in a touch-first environment, I think. They've really
that sliding up and down, those sliding menus up and down, having just a free-form slider across to adjust values. Yeah, it's really great.
It's pretty
really,
amazing.
Really
So you choose the filter like this way, up and down, and then you strengthen or weaken it by sliding left, right. Just fabulous. You can then pull up more choices, nature, people. Oh, this thing is it's deep. It's just deep.
Yeah, it looks like it. That's very cool.
Yeah, I love it. And you can always go back, which is massive.
Right, you go back, and you can even undo something that's quite far down the stack, actually. So if you got a stack of edits, you can undo one that's 2 or 3 down. It's very Git-like, actually.
It is. It is. Look at, so I could say, I don't want that spot repair. Let's get rid of that. Or you can change it. Really nice. This is an amazing piece of programming, and it's free.
Yep.
So you combine that with this camera. This is my new favorite photo tool. I mean, this blows me away.
Is that the best Android camera you used?
It's better. It's best camera ever in a phone. Easy.
Wow.
I'll point you to you can look at some pictures. leolaporte.smugmug.com is my, and I put them there because I could guarantee that these would be the unretouched JPEGs. Google was enhancing everything. So that kind of,
they do that.
They tend to do that. So I realized I was showing, these are unretouched. These look as good as an SLR's picture in terms of color, accuracy, reproduction, tonal range, detail. Low light is phenomenal. There's some panoramas in here. You'll see how good this is just amazing. Just amazing camera.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
It makes you, really, I feel like I don't need to carry an SLR with me.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I do, but I don't know why.
How is low light? Like
it's very good.
Low light in in a dark room talking.
It's superb. It's an f1.9. It's the fastest fastest aperture made in a camera phone, which makes a difference. But also it's got look at no camera phone is great, super great in low light because you have to pump it up and you get grainy. This is a pano. I mean, it does a great job with the panos. It took it just a few seconds to take this. You just you don't take multiple images. You just slowly turn the camera. So this is an example of low light. See, the light up here is off. Looking in there, this is fairly murky. This was lit from window that was on the other side of the room. So to the naked eye, you couldn't see the detail inside the closet. Then I turned a light on. So this is with a single bulb. I would say spectacular. Just really great. So very happy.
Very nice.
Very, very happy. Nice. Yeah. If the battery life were twice as good, I'd be happier. But I'm starting to realize that's an unreasonable expectation now. There's just nobody, if you're going to have a small, light device that doesn't have an interchangeable battery, even the Galaxy Note 4 is 10 or 11 hours, but you can put another battery in it. That's just an expectation I have to let go of.
Oh, I won't do it.
I know.
It's a hard one to let go of.
I won't do it. I can't let go.
I know. The
OnePlus
One still does 20 hours. This is half that.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, the OnePlus One is narrow. Like it's a thin phone as well, but it doesn't have this crazy,
it's a low
UHD
resolution
display.
It's 1080p, yeah.
Right.
So
right.
it's almost like nowadays you need two things. You need to not go too nuts on the high resolution, screen, and you need fast charging.
I'm willing to give it up. Yeah, I'm willing to give it because it has turbocharging.
Yeah.
I found, by the way, one, and there may be more than one, but Aukey makes an external battery that does quick charging. 10,000 milliamp hours. So I can charge this quick charge. It takes about half an hour to get 50% from zero, but in an hour you can fully charge it to 100%. But I can do that with a portable battery now. So I just carry the portable battery with me, and I just plug it in. And frankly, it's worth it to have a phone that's this beautiful and compact. I'm recalibrating my thinking. That's all.
Yeah, well, I mean, for a great camera, I think that thing seems a little gimmicky, but for a great camera, I could.
Yeah,
I
you
could
don't have
see
to get the
going
edge.
there.
For $100 less, you can get this square one. I just think this looks unique and it's beautiful. Once you handle it, you kind of go, oh. And by the way, I was sad because T-Mobile only offered the black and the white, but they have like emerald green back and blue. They have different kind of, and they're subtle because it's kind of like, I don't know, built into the glass or something.
And secretly, you're a Japanese teenage girl. Leo.
I am. I got this great new emoji app. You're going to love it. And that, my friends, is the Google changelog. Huawei has announced a new phone with a 5.2-inch Full HD display, 8-megapixel front, 13-megapixel back camera, 64-bit Kirin 930 octa-core CPU, 2600 milliamp battery, 475 euros. I don't know why we'd be excited about that. Sounds very kind of But there you go. If you want 1080p, with that battery and a 1080p screen, it probably does, 50% better, yeah. Samsung does say, by the way, the S6 is selling better than they thought it would. Much higher than planned for. They said demand for both the flat and curved screen models very, very good. Investors and analysts say new devices will generate meaningful earnings momentum in the quarter as the phones go on sale across the world. So they're not available everywhere. They just entered the U.S. market last week. I'm not crazy about, I haven't been in the past crazy about Samsung. I'm crazy about this phone.
Wow. So tell us the software. There's still got to be some irritating software.
It's TouchWiz, but I immediately, first thing I always do is replace the launcher with one of my own, whether you want the Google Now launcher or I use, actually, there was a bug, I think, in Nova Launcher that I've seen on other Android phones. I used to use Nova Launcher, and it was causing problems on this phone as well, so I went to Apex, which is very comparable. So I use Apex, and that makes it look, Samsung is done their own weird skinning of Lollipop. I don't know why. The same problem I had on the Note 4, I don't use S Finder or Quick Connect. I don't want to waste space on it. There's no way to get rid of those two dedicated buttons, which drives me crazy. But it is Lollipop, sort of. It's Samsung Lollipop. They have to have their little quick buttons, although I kind of appreciate that. Touch, but you don't see a lot of TouchWiz if you use your own launcher. I wouldn't use the Samsung launcher. It has Flipboard on the left. Unless you're like a major Flipboard advocate, I wouldn't bother. But it's not junked up. It's not, well, for instance, remember how awful the camera app was on the Samsungs because they had all these special modes. Well, you still have modes, but they don't put little pictures in them. They're just buttons now. And actually, all these modes are useful. There's a pro mode that has completely manual. It's like somebody shook them and said, "Hey, stop it."
Where does Google Now fit in? You said the Flipboard's to the left. What is Google Now?
If you use the Google Now launcher, Google. So that's the other thing that Ars Technica was complaining is that you have to use S Voice if you want to talk to the phone with the screen off. But I don't want to talk to the phone with the screen off, so I have disabled Samsung's S Voice, which I loathe, and I just use Google, and it's got the same. Oh, by the way, the fingerprint reader really works, just like Apple's fingerprint reader. You just put your finger on it, and I can still do OK Google, and it still launches. It's not super fast, but it still launches. So that's just how I do it. And Google Now, I can't remember what I think I've. Is it a double press? Oh, no, that's the camera.
I think if you hold it down.
I've attached it to something. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, I see.
But you can, all these launchers let you have a variety of push buttons and stuff. So, the hell is that?
That sounds like a great device.
Well, you're still happy with your OnePlus One?
It's getting a little long in the tooth. I'm not sure what my.
Did you get your Lollipop update?
No. It is allegedly coming now, next few days. Last a few days ago. System is up to date. My system is up to date. Jason, that's what it keeps telling me.
I hate that.
And it's not true.
It's not true. It is not true. And at this point, I feel like there's going to be a new version of Android that comes out before I get Lollipop in this thing.
I love my Nexus 6.
Yeah, me too.
I think I'm tired of big phones.
It's begun in the other direction.
I want smaller and smaller. I don't know. I don't know. Nexus 6 is fine. Camera is very disappointing. It's very average. Screen's very disappointing. It's very average. This screen will blow your socks off.
This is now that Leo is going in the reverse direction of size. This is where he will be.
This is where we're headed
in approximately 2 or 3 years.
No, I think this
the world's smallest phone.
I thought 4.7 was actually perfect. The Moto X size. I thought that actually was perfect. This is fine. 5.1. This is good. And it's big enough. The screen's so good that you can like hold it right up here and read stuff. So I'm fine with that. Anyway.
I'm glad Samsung's doing well with this phone.
I am too, because it was touch and go. I don't know if they'd done another crap ass phone like the S5, they would have been in trouble. I like the Note 4 because it is industrial. And so what I think Samsung's going to do is this is going to be the pretty phone for people who care more about looks than functionality, and the Note 4 will be the pro phone where you can change batteries, add SD card, and all that stuff. I like this. But, of course, with the Apple Watch, all of this, I'm just going to send it to Goodwill.
That's it. It's all out the window.
No.
I really can't wait to hear what you think.
I don't know how I'm going to feel about it. I'm kind of interested.
All the reviews so far have been kind of meh about it.
Just don't know.
But that's kind of the same for Android Wear.
My biggest fear is having to carry an iPhone for any length of time. I do not like. I got in a little bit. I am afraid I peeved a few iPhone fans on Sunday on Twit. Got into it with Ben Thompson of Stratechery because I said if an alien from space came down and looked at a good quality Android phone and compared it to the iPhone, there'd be no question the Android phone's far superior.
Oh, I'm gonna download that episode.
And the reason people keep choosing the iPhone is because they're swayed by marketing. The same reason people chose Windows, because everybody has one. Oh, it's the iPhone. I don't know the difference, but I know that it's the iPhone. It's a safe buy. He says you're saying that 75 million people were dumb to buy an iPhone last quarter. I said not dumb, not at all. That's not stupidity. That's just. I don't think you're dumb to carry a flip phone. You should get the phone that fits your needs the best. But it seems to me Android has lapped iOS.
Yeah, but it's so irritating. All the coverage, including the New York Times, about the Apple Watch, didn't even make mention that Android Wear existed.
Yeah.
I felt really similarly. It was these like weird revelations about smartwatches. I was kind of like, guys,
hello.
Like there's been. I don't know. I guess like not. It felt a little bit like, this is what.
Well, but the Apple Watch
doesn't exist until Apple does it,
yes.
right? And that's to their credit. They've done that.
And I use Apple computer. I love my Macs. I've been an Apple fan since 1984 when I got in line and paid $2,500 for a very limited computer. So I'm not an anti-Apple guy by any means, but I think that I have to be objective. And iOS is so hobbled by Apple's insular point of view. You can't, no, only we can do that. So they have NFC, but they don't let it do the things that NFC can do. They say, well, they allowed third-party keyboards in this latest edition of iOS, but not well. So you still want to use the Apple keyboard, which is a terrible keyboard. It's just all these little things. Like Apple says, we know the right way. You don't. Shut up and do what we say.
It's Google that's getting investigated for antitrust on Android.
Well, I don't know I wouldn't want Apple to get investigated for antitrust. I don't see Apple.
But what I'm saying is, for what? For controlling something. Anyway, I won't go back there.
Yeah, I don't see that Apple's doing anything.
No, that's what I'm saying. But by comparison,
wrong.
because Google is open, and yet that's what, as you said before, that's what gets it in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
the only thing that bugs me at all, if you want an iPhone, get an iPhone by all means. I'm not saying you shouldn't get an iPhone by any stretch of the imagination, but I just feel like it's Apple is not exactly innovating at this point on iOS.
No.
And so to point to Apple, say all the innovation and excitement in the space is happening there, is to miss a lot of really interesting things that are happening out there in the real world.
And I love not having an OS, essentially. I just don't worry about it. It's
well,
great.
you shouldn't, and that's what the promise of the cloud is it's OS independent, doesn't care.
Yeah.
So you're saying with your Chromebook.
Yeah. I don't worry about having to install new software, this or that. I was looking for how do I yes, obviously I install apps on this, but it's so easy. There's just no concern. There's no
people are saying iOS is simpler, but here's a really strong example, in my opinion. Apple, for some reason, when the Mac came out, Apple had very stringent human interface guidelines. They said, you'll do it this way, and you'll do it one way, and you'll do it the right way. We don't do modal dialogues. We don't, there was all these things, which I was thrilled about. That's, if you want to enforce rules, enforce user interface rules. But they didn't for some reason in iOS, so every app has its own UI. And the only thing Apple provides is a home button. Your only recourse, if you can't figure out the UI, is to exit the application. Say, I don't know how to use this. So you have to really.
Yeah.
But to Google's credit, they provide. It's rudimentary, but they provide enough UI that you can go back. You can see recent apps. You can still go home, and they have a menu button, a 3-dot menu button that's standard, and almost all apps support it. It's Android apps tend to be easier to use. But so people think iOS is easier to use. It's not. It's baffling. Most apps, you have to figure out individually, app by app, what the OS is, what the UI is. And it's possible, in fact, it's often prized by Apple fanatics that an app is completely out of left field. Gina, do you think I'm off base on that? You're a developer.
I don't. I mean, I've had a similar experience, but part of me thinks it's because I've been on Android for so long that I maybe just
Yeah, could
didn't
be
work.
that.
You're
We're used to
understanding.
Android. Wait a minute. I have to stop the show. I see that Kanye West has just started following me on Kong. I now am retiring.
Tiring.
Wait, he's following you where?
Do you know
On
about
what?
Kong?
No.
Oh, my
What is
God. You are
Kong?
so last week.
I am so last week.
Dave
definitely.
Morin's new app, which is a complete ripoff of Kevin Rose's new app and Ev Williams' new app, which cracks me up. It's called Kong, K-O-N-G.
Oh my God,
and-
it's super.
It's super.
Yeah.
Hello, super. Oh, it's more than super because it's also a little bit of riff. Mark Zuckerberg's new app. So the idea is it's a selfie app. This is where, for some reason, Kanye West is following me. Probably because either it's not Kanye West or
There's no
he's
one else to
following
follow.
me. Or there's only 4 of us using this thing. Yeah, okay, so here, go home, then what happens? That's it. Now I can make a new one. But don't you want to make it with a hashtag, like something like facepalm?
Go ahead.
Okay, now I'm going to post to join facepalm. Okay, now the frame rate is horrible. Okay, now I got to use a filter.
That's pretty great.
Where's the filter? I take everything I ever said about Android UI. I don't even know what to do next. Take this thing? Doesn't that undo what I just did? He says, yeah, but I did a perfect face palm. All right.
So now swipe your face.
Swipe my face? Oh, I don't know why I didn't think of that. Ginsburg, Rushmore, Midway, Citizen, Classic. Oh, Hearst. Oh, keep going. Warhol.
Don't worry, Leo. Jeff's got this.
Okay, I think that's a good face palm. Can I
Oh,
see
That's actually really good. I like
Okay.
that a lot.
So now I'm going to upload that. Was I supposed to put some text on there? You can super it with text? All right. And I can also share this to Hangouts, Twitter, Instagram, or a GIF. That's why the frame rate's so bad is because it's a GIF. It's really an animated GIF.
Yeah.
And there you go. Now, when Kanye responds to my face palm, swipe it?
No, other way.
Other way. Start at the end. Vogue, instant. Keep going.
What?
Do you not get the star wipe on the Android?
Android does not have star wipe. I'm sorry. Oh, man. Whatever. will we
Always
do?
left out.
Always left out. So this is
Star
basically,
wipes.
he released this. Hi, Sarah. He released this. I don't know why she popped up. He released this on both Android and iOS simultaneously today.
Well, that's at least
K-O-N-G, yeah. So here's what the star wipe looks like. Starburst.
Oh, see what
wow,
you
I'm
could-
so sad that I don't have that. See,
That must be an
iOS,
Apple
you know what?
exclusive.
I'm sorry, everybody. I was wrong. iOS is better than Android.
iOS exclusive Star Wipe.
What is Kevin Rose's app?
It's gone now, right? What was it? What was it called? Tiny. 2 eyes. Did the same
And
thing.
Evs?
Evs is super.
Super.
It's Biz actually, but yeah.
Oh, it's Biv. It's not Ev.
yeah.
Biz, that's
yeah,
right.
sorry,
That's
Biz, not Ev. I confused the two of them.
well,
Twitter
little
founders,
short names with
Yeah.
that end in consonants.
masters of the universe.
How's Path doing?
I think Path is non-existent, which is why Kong is the new Path. I used to love Path. I was a big Path fanatic.
It smells like a pivot.
Smells like a pivot.
I think I read somewhere. Actually, that's a really great title.
Yeah, we have a title.
I think the CEO posted somewhere late last year that Path is going to a multi-app approach as opposed
Oh,
to
well,
just.
here we go.
Yeah,
Multi-app.
there you go. Yeah.
Because Dave basically does everything Mark does, only later. All right. I'm sorry. I like Dave Morin, actually, quite a bit. And I think he's a very smart guy. iOS app store-wide Q1 revenue 70% higher than on Google Play. Worldwide, not up 70% higher. So that's why, if you wonder why apps come out first on iOS, Revenue.
What's the dynamic of that? Why is that?
Well, anybody who's stupid enough to spend $1,000 on an iPhone is a sucker.
Wow, Leo.
I know.
You're not earning any fans.
Did we get him some Secret Service protection?
No, I'm just kidding. I love the iPhone. I think it's a beautiful device. But I think it is the case that, and we've known this for years, that iPhone users spend more money on apps.
They have accounts with their credit cards attached to them, active accounts.
But everybody does. It doesn't Google Wallet automatically debit you?
Well, right, but you have to set up a Google. I mean, you can create a Google account without ever entering your credit card, right? I mean, so you can have an Android phone and be logged in the Play Store and get tons of content for free,
right?
But never buy something because you just never gave them your payment information,
right?
Right, where payment information is sort of central to create. I don't know. I did it so many years ago, right? But iTunes users are trained. I mean, they spend money on stuff in the iTunes.
I think that, I was obviously being facetious, but there's a little bit of truth to the fact that they're more affluent. They're willing to spend a lot more on a phone than others, and so that would also carry on to apps. And I guess then you could make arguments that maybe the apps are deemed more valuable, or I don't know how that would be true, but maybe you could make that case.
Well, that might be the perception because apps are approved first and vetted.
Right.
And I mean, because the Apple culture is so, revolves around design over functionality and customization. A lot of the apps are, the design of the operating system was historically more beautiful than Android, although I would argue that's not the case now with material design, but it's been a long journey to material design. And just design and fashion and style is central to Apple's products, and I think then to the people who like them and buy them.
Right.
But at some point, you're just playing damn Candy Crush, and how is it 70% higher at Apple?
Well, okay. There's also the other argument, which I think is true, is that people who buy remember, Android phones are a broad range. There's the top of the line Android phones, but the vast majority of Android phones sold are under $200.
Yes.
So I think the other side of the argument is maybe not so much that people are spending so much money on iOS, but that people on Android don't spend any money.
Which also argues that there's a bit of technological redlining going on.
Yes. But that's self-redlining in a way, because you could, no matter where you are, buy any phone. Apple's in almost every country.
No. By redlining, I mean that if you can't afford an iPhone, you're also not going to get the latest apps.
Right. Well, I think that's another thing that's interesting about Android is most apps or a lot more apps are free.
Whether they're free or not, you're not going to get access to them because they're going to go to the rich people first.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, Meerkat will come out on iOS and delay Android.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And for Meerkat, since there's no purchase issue, there's not an in-app purchase or any money changing hands. Why not go for the larger audience, which is the Android audience?
Well, developers are not so different from real people. They have their favorites,
prejudices, biases.
I don't want to say biases. I think everybody thinking I'm somehow putting Apple folk down. I bought several iPhones. I spent far more than $1,000.
Oh no, let's keep getting you in trouble. 6. I like this.
I am one of them.
Yeah, likely story. Yeah, you're just scared.
Well,
now.
then
you're
I say
scared.
that, and you go, Leo's such a yuppie. He spends so much money on stuff. It's like I can't win.
It's not yuppie. It's your job.
It's my job.
I still feel sort of bitten by the iOS first stuff. Like signing up for HBO Now, I had to, break out the iPad.
Yeah.
And there are just certain apps, like Instagram releases that new hyperlapse. I would love to try that out.
Well, and they said at the time that was because only Apple allowed them to do what they needed to do, and that as soon as Lollipop came out, they would put it out for Lollipop, and they didn't. Maybe because hyperlapse kind of is over. I don't know. I love hyperlapse.
Yeah. I feel like I just totally missed it. And I have to say, the slow-mo thing that the iOS camera does, that has also inspired some jealousy on my part.
Okay.
Like I've seen those little slow-mo videos on Instagram and stuff.
This does exactly the same thing.
And what app is that? That's a Samsung app? Or
it's
that's
the built-in camera app. Yep. Mm-hmm. It has slow-mo and fast-mo, but not homo. No,
when I'm using it, it has on.
That's built in. That's just built in. You don't have to. There's no button for that. It has. I'm sorry. Jeff's leaving.
Is there a slow-mo setting in the default camera app? And I'm complaining that we don't have slow-mo. Now I'm checking.
It depends on your camera.
Is it as
the Google
nice?
camera does not have it.
The Google camera does not have it. Okay, so I'm not crazy. And
You're not
I gotta tell
crazy.
you, those slow-mo videos, I mean, I've seen my friends' kids, skiing off of mountains.
It's really cool.
I mean, it's really clear and nice. I mean, just like super cool.
I don't know if this does it as well as that, because I agree with you. The iPhone is incredible what it's doing. But this has the capability, because this can do 60 frames per second. It can do 4K, 60 frames per second. I mean, it's such a fast processor in here. It can do all of that. So if they haven't done that, that's just Samsung not living up to what they could do. So there's nothing inherent in the iPhone that makes that possible. And I should point out, there are apps that cannot be done on the iPhone because Apple will not give developers access to low-level features. So I can tap this phone to my camera, and it will automatically copy all the images from my camera, my DSLR, to my phone. Can't do that on iPhone because Apple, even though it finally has put NFC in, won't let anybody have access to it. And there's lots of things like that that only Android can do, because only Android allows developers access to low-level hardware. So,
right, yeah,
goes both ways. But I agree with you. But this is also part of it. It's the cool kids.
It's celebrity culture too.
Exactly. It's the cool kids.
The only time you see an Android phone in a celebrity's hands is when Samsung is doing a sponsorship.
Pays Ellen to do it.
Yeah.
And she immediately goes back to her iPhone as soon as she gets backstage.
Right, yeah. And then she tweets from her iPhone backstage, right? I mean, like...
Yeah. Yeah. They go, ooh, get that thing out of my hands. But it's cool kids. And it's the same thing with the app developers. They want to be where the cool kids are. I guarantee you, Kanye is not following me on a Samsung phone. He's following me on an iPhone. So that's another part of it. Is Meerkat? It's not about money for Meerkat because they're free. It's or Periscope. It's about being where the cool kids are, being a cool app, and it's really important. You know this, when you're an app and you first come out, you got to be cool.
Yeah. The Periscope.
I feel like
and
that's
Meerkat
sad.
thing's so frustrating for me as an Android user. It's like, why can't I want to watch this? This stream.
Because you're not a cool kid. You are just like me. We had to sit at the other end of the lunchroom looking at the cool kids eating our sad little bologna sandwiches.
Wow. Now we're really...
Let's charge them for
Wait
the
a minute.
therapy, Gina.
But I don't know. Maybe, Gina, were you one of the cool kids? Were you one of the beautiful...
Oh, hell, I wasn't even thinking cafeteria. I'd sit in the hallway alone.
Wearing all black, right?
Yeah, were you goth?
All black, big eyeliner. I know.
Yeah.
I was goth. The nuns wouldn't have put up with that. But
No, we're not. I was out there we thought we were the cool kids. We weren't. We just thought we were. That's how we felt better about it.
Well, I was a dork. I was on the newspaper.
Oh, you were a dork. Yeah, I was in the chess club, so it was just pathetic.
Ooh. All right, Leo, here's the big moment here. AV Club?
No, I didn't. I didn't get that. I didn't go that far down. But I was a drama kid, and that was kind of like
That's
the
okay.
AV Club.
That's all right.
So Gina was Ali Sheedy, but she just couldn't do the eyeliner, right?
I work stage crew. So
You were the bad. Yeah, see, stage crew. Yeah.
Yeah, stage crew. I ran the spotlight.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
behind the spotlight. Yeah.
See, that's really, and see, I think that's why the geeks are so susceptible to this, because we weren't the cool kids. So now we are the cool kids. People like Dave Morin going, oh, and that's, we want to be the cool kids. Finally, we're the cool kids.
Got an iPhone for sure.
Yeah. My son broke his iPhone 5. He's been using it to open beer bottles. I told him that was probably not a good idea.
Well, how do you do that?
It turns out the iPhone 5 has a nice sharp edge. He showed me. He said, look, Dad, it's all scored up. I said, you're...
Oh.
So he broke it. So Jennifer said, I'm going out to see him. Why don't you give me an old phone? I said, great. I have like 4 Android phones. I'll be glad to give him one. They're unlocked. He says, no, I want an iPhone.
Stop opening those beer bottles, kid.
Use your teeth like a normal frat boy.
That's not cool kids that he's talking about, by the way, and wanting an iPhone. That's ecosystem, Leo. Right?
What do you mean?
It's not the cool kid drive. It's that he's invested himself
Henry said
completely in
ecosystem.
the iOS ecosystem.
No, I don't think so. Everything Henry does, he could do on Android. You know that. There's nothing he does. He's not a meerkatter.
It's an exclusive beer opening app. Some people get really into iMessage. They get real embedded in iMessage.
That's part of it. Yep.
Okay, I'll grant you that. And I miss. Yeah, you want to be one of the green kids, not the blue kids. And I do miss not having iMessage, not being able to send the audio with the up swipe. And that's frankly why I want to get the iWatch, because I can do the same kind of, kind of creepy 3G emojis to my wife.
All right, Gina, how long is he going to be extolling the virtues of saying, let's do bets now, let's start the pool? How long before he says, iOS is good, it's the right thing to do, and then how long before he switches back to Android? What do you think? Over under here. What do you think?
I think Leo is going to have a brief love affair with the watch.
Yeah.
I'll give it a couple weeks. I think the watch is going to do a couple things a little bit different than Android Wear. Maybe it's going to be a little fancier or whatever. But I think I'm going to give it about a month.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And then back to Android.
I think there's a serious risk I might be permanently an iPhone user.
He's already preemptively getting ready.
Oh boy,
I'm kind of gearing myself up. I'm going to be a self-loathing iPhone user.
You'll be back.
I really can't wait to hear what you think.
You just spent time saying how the OS isn't as good.
Well, all right. I've told you. I think this is my theory, though, but we'll see if this is true. One of the main things that I miss on Android is the fact that I can, without launching an app, I can see what's going on with the widgets. I really feel that uses the screen well. I even have on here, and I'm not sure I'll ever use it, but the Samsung bundles Peel, because this phone has another thing that the iPhone does not have, an infrared sensor. So you can use this phone as a remote control. Let me unlock it. And Peel puts a widget on the screen that's actually the remote control.
Wow.
And I use widgets a lot, as you can see, for quick and easy access to information. My whole calendar is here and all that. And so on iOS, where you merely get a grid of icons, and that's it, I feel it seems so primitive. But I feel like the watch is going to help, because that's basically widgets. The watch is all of the UI stuff, all the sugar that I'm missing. We'll see, though. I'm really sad that the Galaxy S6 Edge came out, because if I'd hated this, it would be so much easier. So now it's going to be a challenge.
Look how you love turning it in your hand. Feels good.
It's also it's slightly warm.
That's your battery draining. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. You can feel the battery actually going out of it, like a life force draining from it.
Leo's more than just friends with this phone.
Oh yeah.
We went from inner child to gonna cuddle with this thing. Okay. Now it's really getting weird.
Sorry. I'm a terrible, terrible person.
Leo redefines phone sex.
Yeah. Sex with your phone. All right, we're going to take a break. Come back. We have your tip tool and number and pick and all that stuff. I don't know if Gina, if you even remember what we used to do.
Yeah, I got a tip.
All right, yay. Our show today brought to you by LegalZoom. Oh, man, LegalZoom is awesome. 5 things you can count on. You can count on when using LegalZoom for your business. Number 1, reliability. More than 1 million people, including me, have trusted LegalZoom to help start their businesses, our LLC. Lisa did her will. It's beautiful. If you're looking to incorporate, to create a nonprofit, to get a DBA, LegalZoom can get you started right away for a lot less than a law firm. Number 2, experience. They've been doing this for more than a decade. You can count on LegalZoom to handle all the details. They know what business owners need to do. 3, and by the way, that's a lot of what you go to a lawyer for, is that kind of experience. 3, helpful support. The right people are there to answer your questions. They're all based in the U.S. Legal advice. They're not a law firm, so they're not allowed to give you legal advice, but they're smart. They built a network of independent attorneys, which you can call on at a fixed rate, available in almost every state. They can give advice on the best way to get started, provide contact review, other useful services. I would have loved this just because they didn't have this when I was using them. But just to say, what state should I incorporate in? I've heard Delaware's good. Hooli was incorporated in Delaware, but Pied Piper is incorporated in California. Which is the best? Finally, number 5, no surprises. LegalZoom provides complete transparency, upfront pricing, customer reviews. You know what you're going to get, and they have a 100% satisfaction guaranteed. There's no risk, just reward. I love LegalZoom. We chose it. You should choose it too for all your business needs, your family needs, for incorporation, for trademarks, for patents, for wills. Just check it out, LegalZoom.com. When you buy, don't forget to enter TWIG at checkout. You'll get $10 off at LegalZoom.com. Offer code TWIG. And we thank them so much for their support of This Week in Google. Gina Trapani has a tip for us. How nice to be able to say that.
Yeah. So let's talk about Google Keep. I don't know how long it's been. I don't know if you've mentioned Keep recently. Man, Keep is awesome. Keep is like the most underrated and unrecognized. I feel like
no iOS app.
And oh, really? Is that
No,
true?
it's frustrating because I use it, and Lisa and I use it for our shopping lists and everything, and she has to use the web version on iOS.
I wonder, how does the web version do a mobile Safari? Okay,
It's fine, but it'd be nice if she had an app.
Well, this is the thing. The Android app for Keep, particularly the home screen widget, is amazing, and it's just got so many features. Like, look, I make a to-do list app, and Keep is just awesome. You can do lists with it. You can share. We do the same thing in our house. We do share grocery lists. We've shared, order this on Amazon next time you're placing an order list, and it got a couple of new features. Recurring reminders. So, once a week, remind me, or once a month, on Wednesday, remind me that Twig starts. And their reminders are great. You can do by location. So you can say, when I get to the office, remind me, do this.
Or when you get to the store, don't forget to get milk.
Yeah,
awesome.
when you get to the store, remember the milk. And they've got, you can color, you can, make notes different colors, and they also added labels. So you can label your notes as well, similar to the way that you would label things in Gmail. And you can export all this stuff to Google Docs. You can very easily, if a note gets long, just convert it to a Google Doc and go from there. But yeah, there's the widget right there. Love the widget. You could do voice input, camera input, start a new note. So house crap. That's awesome.
that's our list.
My notes look like.
That's our house crap list. Things we got to do in the house.
Stuff we got to have.
Yeah. Whole Foods shopping list. That's automatically set when I go into Whole Foods. That's what I have to buy.
Oh, that's great.
This is our Petaluma Market set the same way. It's great.
Certain stores when you get there, it's fantastic. It's such a great app, and I feel like it's kind of undersung. So now we've got recurring reminders and labels. The widget's great. It's awesome. Google Keep. I didn't realize that there wasn't an app on iOS. Sorry, iOS users. I don't think we have any iOS users actually listening.
Not anymore, we don't.
I'm sure that we lost all of them about 20 minutes ago.
They tuned out a few minutes ago.
But for the 2 or 3 masochists who are still around, I'm really sorry there isn't an iOS app when I get my hyperlapse. Google Keep.
I love Google Keep. Yeah, good recommendation. Really useful. And they keep adding new features. I like the recurring reminders. That's a really useful feature. So it's good. Yeah. Jeff, you has a number for us?
Well, just as your expensive, overpriced snobware comes out, Google dropped the price on Google Play, or on whatever they call it now, of the Motorola 360 down to $165 from $249.
Yeah. Well, that's obviously motivated by the snobware.
Yeah.
So you can thank the snobware. $249. What is it? $170?
$165.
That's reasonable.
Free shipping.
I mean, that's definitely so they're going to compete on price. The Google Android watches, which is smart, because I think the Apple Watch is overpriced.
And they're going to write Android Wear for iOS.
That's what I'm really interested in. But see, that's where you're going to run up against Apple's sandbox.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of potential there. Yeah.
Another little late-breaking number. Etsy priced its IPO at $16 a share, the high end.
Oh, interesting.
So it is worth $1.78 billion.
Jeez, miss.
Wow.
I'm in the wrong business.
Wow.
You need to
I am in the wrong
make crocheters happy.
I have an app that I installed when we went to Vegas called Silver Car. You guys know about Silver Car? It is a new kind of car rental system. They
I've heard of this. Yes, they're all the cars are silver.
And they're all Audi A4s with free GPS, free Wi-Fi, free satellite radio, and a much better fuel plan. So it's really interesting. You download the app. Yes, they have it for iPhone as well as Android. It's unfortunately not available everywhere yet, but I think they're rolling out a lot faster very quickly.
What's it cost a day?
It's good question. Don't know. It's affordable. It's not. It's and the thing is you kind of miss. You don't get like the upgrade thing, and all the little things that the car and the fee thing and the fuel thing. All the ways the little car companies kind of the Hertz and all the others get you in the long run. We haven't used it yet because it hasn't been in an airport that I've been at. It's Dallas. It's limited. Austin. But it's cool because you don't go to a counter. It's like Uber. You book it on the phone and then you walk up to your car and you scan the QR code in the car's windshield, and you get in and you go.
It's like kind of like Zipcar.
Like Zipcar. Same idea. Yeah.
So in that case, do you have a key at all or not?
That's a good question. Maybe they just. What does Zipcar do? They leave it in the car, or?
Yeah, there's the keys in the car.
Yeah.
Those newfangled keys that aren't actually a key.
I like those. I never take my key out of my pocket no more.
So we were up at one final college visit with our daughter, and I went up to get gas, and my wife went up to the hotel room, and she had the car key in her purse, and the car keeps running, and I saw this error sign on it. I was like, what the heck is that? Good thing I didn't stop the car at the gas station because it wouldn't have started again.
Oh, yeah. You need that. You need the dongle. You lost your dongle.
Yeah.
That's your dongle, right.
That's an
Not
issue.
the first time.
Around it.
Austin, Dallas, Denver, Los Angeles, Miami, Phoenix, and San Francisco.
Ooh.
Yeah. Johnny Jett, our travel guy, told me about this silver car. He likes it. Car rental that doesn't suck.
And I love not having to go to the counter. I mean, that's why I do the Emerald Aisle.
Yeah.
So I can just go.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing, yeah. My friends, I hate to do it, but we must call an end to this party.
Gina, don't leave me.
Next month it'll be a shorter time. I had so much fun. I really do miss you guys.
I tried to make it a fun
and
show
the
for you.
audience misses you.
We all miss you. And I get tweeted all the time, why doesn't Gina? Go get Gina. Do whatever you need to do. But we respect you. We honor your need for space.
I appreciate that.
I promise not to text you in the middle of the night anymore.
It's not Leo. It was totally me. Not you. It's me.
It's not me. It's you.
I'm so glad that I get to come back on, and this was really fun. It was really great to see both of you.
Everybody,
and with hair and everything.
You know how you get Gina back on Twig? You all sign up for Think Up.
Yes.
You turn it into a massive success. She sells it to Rupert Murdoch for $1.5 billion, and then she can do whatever she wants.
And then she buys Twit.
You can have it. I'll give it to you. Special deal.
Perfect. It's a bundle deal.
See, I got it figured out. I know how to. So everybody, thinkup.com, sign up today. You got a free trial, right?
Oh yeah, free trial, no credit card required. Unlike HBO Now.
Yeah.
No payment, no auto renew. You opt in. You decide to pay when you want to pay.
I love ThinkUp.
Thank you.
And full disclosure, Gina gave me an account, but I would pay for it because it's really great.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Great. Jeff, we love you too. Thank God you're still here.
Love you. Too.
Love you. Get your dongle out of your wife's purse. Oh, God. And get back to work.
I don't love you anymore.
Buzzmachine.com. The great books, Public Parts, Geeks Bearing Gifts. He's a legend. Jeff Jarvis. We love you. And thank you for being here. We love you. Don't forget, even if you use an iPhone, it's okay. I won't hold it against you. My wife's sitting over there. Of course, what does she use? An iPhone. See, I got to be careful when I say
No, mixed marriage?
Yeah, we're a mixed marriage.
Dangerous.
She was a Windows user for a while. Oh, boy.
No.
Oh, boy. She still uses Windows. We do this show every Wednesday afternoon, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1800 I'm sorry, that's not right. 2000 UTC. If you watch live, we appreciate it because we love seeing your interaction and the energy we get from you. But if you can't, don't worry. You can, of course, get on-demand versions of all of our shows on the website. In this case, twit.tv/twig. Also, iTunes and all the places you subscribe. And don't forget the great apps, the Twit apps that are all over. We thank you for watching. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you right here next Wednesday on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.